Hello and welcome back to the podcast, We Are Selling. My name's Lee Woodward, the author of the Complete Salesperson course. Today's podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Nexar. Nexar is a dedicated real estate platform specialising in lead generation and database management of the entire real estate company for BDMs and agents working as one platform to generate opportunity. Nexar seamlessly integrates into your business systems, allowing you to have an extended solution. Let's get started with this week's episode. Hello and welcome back to the podcast, We Are Selling. This week we have a different direction. We are discussing business fitness. And what does that even mean? How we look after ourselves, what we do to maintain the energy to do this incredible job of running around, chasing after people, finding homes and connection marriages in real estate is exhausting. And the one thing that we do as real estate professionals is we forget about us. So today, business fitness is our topic, and joining us is Ryan Anthony. Ryan, welcome to the program.
Hi, Lee, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. I love having the opportunity to talk to business owners, to real estate agents, and the type of high-performing people who I know will be listening to your podcast. I know that the topic that we're going to discuss today is one that they all focus on, they all think about it all the time, because like your listeners would be so focused on their own personal and self-development. But sometimes there can be a few mistakes that can be made in it, and I want to illuminate that today.
That would be fantastic, because we're addressing the industry that warms up on coffee and cools down on alcohol. The fast-paced life of a real estate professional is frightening. And, you know, I see a lot of people, their first year in real estate, and they just put on this enormous amount of weight. And everyone, what happened? And they're just, I'm just flat out and I've got no time for anything and I'm trying to keep up. So let's address those 5. Take us into number 1.
The most common mistake that I see business owners and high performers and real estate agents making is looking at input instead of outcomes. So what that means is you start training, you start sticking to a diet, you're trying to maybe lose some weight or have more energy or just feel better and feel healthier. And the first question that often gets asked is, how many days per week do I have to go to the gym? How many salads do I have to eat? Or how little carbohydrates am I allowed to have? And we do this because we always focus on the work that we have to do. Really hardworking, high-performing people, they always focus on the work. And that's a great attitude to have for a lot of things, but it doesn't actually work for your fitness, for your health. And it also doesn't work for your business, because instead of thinking, what kind of inputs do you have to put in? What we want to think of is, what outcomes do we want to get? What return are you going to get from this, right? Because successful real estate agents, and I hope that you can confirm this for me, Lee, successful real estate agents, you don't start out the year by saying, how many cold calls do I have to make? I imagine that's not a goal that you get your real estate agents to set, right?
Definitely not.
Yeah. But you start with the end goal in mind. So actually, Lee, could you tell me, right, what would be the top 3 goals, the 3 most common goals that one of your clients or members might set for themselves at the start of the year for their business and personal development?
Yep. Number 1 should be, and most people don't, is how many doors will they claim this year in advancing their career? So they go to their database, they might have 555 doors in there, which are future business that they can get that return of how many sales they want to make. So if someone's trying to do 50 or 60 sales a year, if they've got a team, they're going to be doing north of 100. Well, that's a lot of transactions. You're going to need the actual physical doors to speak to. So how many doors, how many deals do you want to do? And then the patterns to your week, which is where our conversation is really important, of the time and energy you can put into this and that you're available to do it.
Fantastic. Yeah. So you're starting with, you're thinking about the revenue that you want to create. You're thinking about how many homes you want to sell. And so therefore you're already reverse engineering the goal, right? And that's what we need to do. You need to start with an end goal in mind, whether it's your revenue, whether it's the doors that you're trying to go through, whether it's the growth of your business. And then what you do, and you're already starting to do this with your explanation to me, you're reverse engineering that goal, right? You're focused on the outcomes first. And the reason that it's so important to focus on the outcomes first is it actually creates what we call a positive motivation, right? Whenever you focus on the work that you have to do, whenever you just think of how many days a week do I have to be in the gym? What time every morning do I have to wake up? You know, how low in calories do I have to eat? When you focus on that and only that right from the start, you create a negative motivation. And that just sets you up for failure right from the start, right? Whereas if you focus on an outcome, and that means you need to get really good at goal setting. And goal setting is a skill. It takes time to get good at goal setting. I'm sure it's exactly the same in the real estate industry, in the businesses that your clients run, right? So if you have a goal of saying, I want to have more energy so that when I start my day, I'm more productive and I get more done in less time. Whether that means that you then work the same amount of time and just get more done and make more profit and get more doors and sell more houses, or whether it means that you actually can work less and then spend more time on your personal life, with your family, with your loved ones, right? Whatever the reason is, if you want to have more energy, then whenever you're reverse engineering that goal, you have to ask yourself one key question. And this is something that I want everyone listening to really, really understand, right? Ask yourself this question. What is the absolute least amount of time and energy I need to invest consistently to move towards that end outcome at a speed which I'm happy with? Now, it's going to take some time to actually answer that question. It's going to take time to figure it out. This is one of the reasons people don't think of that, because you have to think about it. Whereas when you just think about how many days a week do I have to go to the gym, that's a simple number question, but it doesn't actually make any difference to the outcome. Whereas if you're asking yourself, what's the least amount I can do? Then everything that you do, you're going to think about the efficiency and the effectiveness of it. And you're going to create a plan yourself that works really well, right? And when you do this, when you create the least amount of effort and time you have to put in, that's called your MED. It's called your minimum effective dosage. And if you can determine that, then you make yourself so much more likely to be successful, because then you know, if I do this amount of work, if I put this amount of effort in, if I can get to the gym this many times per week, which is probably a lot less than most people are thinking, then you know you're going to be making progress. And that's so important, because I see like real estate agents that I work with, they're a different breed, aren't they?
They are.
Like real estate agents are, I've noticed of all the different types of business owners that I work with, real estate agents are probably the most invested in self-development. Would you say that's
very much
correct?
so? Yeah. They see that as a muscle, but they don't see their energy and their body as a muscle.
Yeah. And I think the reason for that, this is just from my observation, I think the reason for that is because running a real estate business is, everything's kind of dependent on you, especially when you start out and especially when you're by yourself. So then self-development becomes so important, because you're the linchpin to everything. And so as a result of that, real estate agents I've found are extremely hardworking, which is a fantastic quality to have. But sometimes really hardworking people can measure themselves based on how hard they're working, rather than measuring themselves on the outcomes that they're getting.
Yeah, good point.
And so, yeah, and I think that and maybe this is a lesson for business as well, although I'm not a business coach, but I think that an important metric to look at is, am I able to achieve more while doing less? And more importantly, am I able to feel okay about that? I have a lot of clients, and maybe they're already training a lot whenever they come to me, but they're not seeing results, and I actually get them to do less. And I make their diet easier and everything. And we're putting in their eyes, they're putting in less effort, but they're actually getting more out of it. And they get frustrated with that. They're like, oh, but I'm not working hard enough. And I'm like, why do you care about how hard you're working? Didn't you do this to get an outcome? You didn't start this so you could see how hard you worked. You started this so you could get an outcome, which is have more energy, live longer and look better while you're doing it.
So give us an example of that minimum effort per week. What are you seeing people being able to contribute to their fitness?
So I think that, first of all, we have to break it up into things. I don't want to get too bogged down in logistics, because I'll sit and talk about this for 3 hours. But I think that it's actually about analyzing what you're doing. So you might start out going to the gym 3 times per week. It doesn't matter whether it's 2 times a week, 3 times a week. The point is that you start looking at the results that you're getting. And that might be in weight that you're losing, if that's what someone needs to do. It might be in the energy that you feel every day. And then you can start to work backwards and actually reduce that over time. You see, I want clients to work on building a compounding effect of the energy that they're gaining. And then once they're at the highest level of energy that they feel, then let's see, right, how much can we reduce this and how little can we do? So the first mistake that I see so many, and I'm going to summarize it here, is looking at input first, but instead we need to look at outcomes first. So the first mistake I see people making is not being goal focused enough and being process focused. We need to be goal focused and then reverse engineer from that, right? And that brings me on to mistake number 2, which is treating this like a to-do list. So if you've made mistake number 1, which a lot of people listening probably have, and you're just focusing on, I have to be at the gym this many times per week, I have to be there for this many minutes, I have to do, this many sets and this many reps, and not thinking about the outcome, then very quickly you're going to create a to-do list, right? And once again, this is probably a mistake that you see your clients make, where they're not focusing on what they're achieving. They're just saying, yeah, no, I've done all these things today. I've done all my habits. I've done all my things. I've done my checklist. But what are you achieving from that? Because if you're not achieving anything, then maybe your checklist isn't right, or maybe you're not doing it very well, right? Maybe you need to actually get better at something. And so instead of treating your health, your wellness, your energy building, whatever it is, instead of treating that like a to-do list, you want to treat it like a skill set that you're building and acquiring. And this is, again, something that I've noticed with really successful business owners and especially real estate agents. The most successful ones are really, really focused on self-development because they're focused on making themselves more capable of doing more things and doing those things better, right? So I'm going to be asking for your help with another real estate analogy here. It's my understanding that really successful real estate agents, the ones that have been doing it for 10 years and for 20 years and have continued to get better at it because they're, working with like super high level coaches like yourself, really successful real estate agents don't have to do as much total time work as new real estate agents, but they still make way more money and still make way more profit and have a way higher revenue. And that's because their skill at closing is better. Their ability to ask for and get a higher percentage of the sale is better because of the evidence that they've shown of what they've sold in the past. Would that be correct?
Very much so. It's a layering effect. The more you're doing it, the more natural you are at it. And you don't have to follow a checklist because you're just in the groove. And speaking the right way, asking the right questions, you become very match fit in the field the longer you're there. Although there's people that have been there too long and haven't refined what they do and haven't gone to training. So very easy to be in the real estate industry 10 years, but it's 1 year 10 times. A lot of people understand that theory. So yeah, the better you get at it, the easier it is to do. And you're reflecting that to the exercise part of this as well.
100%. And that's what I mean when I say, if you just see this as a box that you have to tick, as a thing that you have to do, then you'll never get better at it. You'll just keep investing the same amount of time and energy, and you'll keep getting the exact same boring return. And if that's what you want to do, if that's what someone does with their business, then that's cool. But I think it's better to actually get better at doing things, right? And this is what I call the compound effect of skill acquiring. And I'm sure that, again, you have things that are exactly the same in your training in the real estate world. If you get better at something, then you get more out of every single minute that you invest in doing that thing every single time, right? So instead of just doing the thing, get better at doing the thing and see that in your health and wellness and energy pursuits, whether it is strength training, whether it is conditioning work, whether it's breathing mechanics, whether it's dieting, losing weight, all those things are actually skills. They're not just a thing you have to do. It's not just going to be a plan that you have to stick to and follow. It is a skill set that you acquire, and it's a skill set that levels up over time. And that's why, there are some people that seem to find it really easy to stay in incredible shape and have incredible energy all the time. And that's why there's also some real estate agents who are making millions every year and selling houses worth $10 to $20 million. And they probably make it look really easy. You can probably think of a few years. I'm sure you're probably one of them, Lee. You probably make it look easy to all the people that you coach, right?
Yeah, I think the better you get at something, obviously there's a return on that. But people do make the mistake thinking, oh, that is easy. And it's not. It takes thousands of hours to master your craft in whatever you're doing. And it's a valid point. What's mistake number 3?
Mistake number 3 is thinking that this is going to cost you more than it gives you back. So if you've tried this before, if you've done the 6-week boot camps or the fad diets that have just left you feeling more tired and more hungry than you were before, then you work really hard at that every day. And again, if you've got that mindset of hard work equals results, then at some point you're going to be so tired and so exhausted that you've had to make a choice between the goals that you have in your personal life and your business or your health and fitness pursuits. And that's not a choice you want to be faced with making. But again, that comes down to treating it like a checklist and often working way too hard at things that aren't effective and don't work. Whereas we should be measuring whether or not you're getting a significant return in your energy in days, not weeks and months. So if you're putting effort into something to improve your health and fitness, we should be seeing that within a matter of days, you're feeling the effects of more energy. You have more mental focus. You have more stamina. You have more productivity. If you're not seeing that, then it means that what you're doing is not the most effective thing for you as an individual. And if you have a plan that's created specifically for you with a professional who knows what they're doing, and more importantly, and this is really important, you actually understand the plan and you adhere to it correctly, then within that very short time frame, within days, you will start to notice that massive increase in energy. So whatever amount of time that you're investing in your health, in your energy, in your fitness, it should be giving you much bigger returns and much quicker returns than you think. If you think it's going to take you months and years to feel better and to look better and to have more confidence in yourself and your body and to be more certain of what you can do and how productive you can be in a day, then again, probably doing too much, probably doing the wrong things. So if you think of the amount of time and energy you're going to have to invest in this and you think that's going to be taken away from you, I can guarantee you it's going to be given back to you in spades. The amount of clients that I've talked to after just a few weeks, or in fact, actually, I'll tell you a story. So I have a client, his name's Josh, lovely guy, from Newcastle, New South Wales. He runs a multi-million-dollar business in the pet care industry. He started off making these like really super high quality pet beds for dogs and stuff. And it blew up and now it's a multi-million-dollar business, right? But when he came to me, he was working 7 days a week, nonstop, and was exhausted. He had chronic lower back pain. And he didn't come to me because he saw my before and after photos and wanted to get ripped 6-pack abs. He came to me just because he wanted to feel better. He wanted to have more energy. He wanted to, as I say, get rid of his lower back pain. Within 3 months, he was telling me just how much more productive he was in work, how much more effective he was in his communication with his team because of more emotional stability. Again, that's something that you get from building better levels of physical energy. How much of a better leader he was. And within 6 months, he was down from working 7 days a week to 4 days a week, but getting more done.
Yeah, awesome.
And he told me that he could have kept working 7 days a week. And, what did he say? He's a really numbers focused guy. He said, I could have kept working 7 days a week and I would have probably made an extra 43.7% more profit because, that's the extra 3 days. But he chose not to. He chose to take that extra time for his personal life, for his family, for the people he loved. And that's something that I really, really enjoy seeing that with my clients. It's really special whenever you see clients gaining the energy that they thought that they would never get back, being in their late 30s or 40s and having the energy that they used to feel when they were 17 or 18. And then seeing the choices and the changes that they make in their life that have nothing to do with what I'm not telling people, hey, go and spend more time with your family and hey, be a more positive atmosphere in your children's. I'm not telling clients to do that, but it's really cool when I get to see it. I get to work with my clients really closely one-on-one and to see their lives change just because we changed the nature of your physical body and the energy that it's producing and how good you feel about yourself. It's incredible. Anyway, I've got sidetracked talking about personal stuff. This is about, as you say, business fitness, but it's all linked. We're all focused on self. Like, isn't that the reason why most people are running their own business? It's to give a better life to to themselves, but also to the people that they love. I imagine that's a motivation that you see an awful lot with your clients.
Yeah. And then suddenly we get into a series of habits that we drop this one, we do that one, and the 7-day-a-week part of it kicks in. The burnout happens. And then unfortunately for a lot of people, they just don't understand why it's not going the way that it used to when they had more energy. So, bringing this to their attention is the first thing about business fitness today and what we're doing. What's mistake number 4?
Mistake number 4, and I want your listeners to stay with me on this, because when I say it, they're going to want to switch off and stop listening. Mistake number 4 is thinking that your business matters more than your health right now. And like I said, stay with me on this, right? Because I know a lot of you are thinking, Ryan, you don't know what it's like running a business with dozens of staff members and, all these decisions I have to make and the stress I'm under. And you're right. I haven't done that. But what I have done is I've worked with hundreds of people who have. And I've listened to them. And I've listened to them probably more than anyone's ever listened to them before, especially in regards to their personal well-being and their health and their energy and how they're feeling every day. And one of the most valuable things that I've been able to teach them is understanding priorities. And I want to make it clear that I'm not talking about, your health and wellness should always be the number one priority. And the first thing you do every single day should be take care of your physical health. That's what a lot of people in my industry talk about. And that's actually not what I teach. That's the last thing that I would tell someone, because I work with business owners every single day. I know what it's like. I know the things that you're going through. And I know that sometimes you have to get into the business at 5 a.m. and do the work because no one else is able to do the work. And no one else will do the work, and no one else is going to put in the effort that you're going to put in. And so your business has to take number one priority. A lot of the times it has to take priority over your family and your loved ones sometimes, because that's the thing that you're doing to provide for them, right? So it's not about prioritizing your health and fitness all the time. It's about understanding how to prioritize different aspects of it. So let me give this the business context, right? So a business has multiple different aspects to it. There's marketing, there's sales, there's customer service, there's business growth, there's training, staff, and development. And every single person, especially those who are running a team, every single person listening to this will know that there are some times that you have to focus on different areas more than others. So there might be several weeks where the only thing you're focused on is marketing, because that's the number one thing you need to focus on at that time. And then there are other times where you need to focus on sales, and other times where you need to focus on growth of the business and getting new staff and developing them, right? And as a result of being a business owner for many years, you will have acquired a skill set of what I call a dimmer switch, or multiple dimmer switches. You have the ability to turn each dimmer switch up. Maybe you turn your marketing up to 100% and everything goes down to 0, everything else goes to 0. Or you turn your sales up to 80% and your marketing to 20%, because you don't just go in every single day and do 2 hours of marketing, 2 hours of sale. It doesn't work that way. You do what needs done at the time. If you can apply and learn that skill set with your health and your fitness, it means we can turn the dimmer switch up and down. There are different components to your health and fitness. I always say, I think I'll just use physical exercise as an example. There are 4 key components to a good exercise program. There's strength training, mobility training, conditioning work, and fun. It's really important that you're doing something where you have fun, right? But how do you know which one of those is more important? Unfortunately, if you're not an expert, you may not know what's the most important thing to you as an individual at that time. And so then you feel like if you can't do everything 100% all the time, then there's no point doing it. Because real estate agents and really hardworking self-development people, they're very much all or nothing kind of people.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
But if you, and I often say to those kind of people, if you're an all or nothing person, it actually means you're an all and nothing person, which means every time you give your all, you will eventually, inevitably give nothing. And so what you actually need to learn is balance, right? But balance doesn't mean working a little bit at everything all the time. Balance means knowing what to dial up and what to dial down so that you can manage everything at once. So if you understand if you're building that skill set that I talked about earlier, and you understand strength training, and you understand how to build muscle, and you understand how to build your conditioning and fix your breathing mechanics, and you understand how to gain weight and lose weight when you need to, then you can understand that, okay, I need to work loads more of my business this week. And I know what my top priority is. I know my top priority are these key strength movements that I need to do, and I can back off on everything else. And so that's what I mean when I talk about priorities. Understanding your priorities in your health and fitness, because there are so many different aspects to it, is just the same as understanding your priorities in business. And you already have that skill set of that multi-dimmer switch in your business. So we just need to build the same skill set in your health and fitness. And that's why I have clients that sometimes they're training for 10 minutes a day for a few weeks. And then suddenly they're on 100% effort for a short time because they've seen that opportunity in their life. Because business owners and real estate agents, you go through different phases. It's not like someone who has a 9-to-5 job, right? Your business goes through different phases of busyness, of necessity. And so we have to look at the correct opportunities to put the correct effort into different things. And if you can learn how to manage that, then you'll never be that all or nothing person that goes 100% and then goes right back down to 0%. You'll just be someone that has balance going from 50% to 75%, down to 40, up to 100 occasionally whenever we see the right opportunity, and then back down. And so to summarize, mistake number 4, thinking your business matters more right now. It matters more sometimes, and then your health matters more sometimes. What you don't want to do is get yourself in a position where your health becomes the only thing that matters because you've let it go a little bit too far, which would suck.
And Ryan, number 5, what have we got?
Number 5. The 5th mistake that I see business owners and high performers and real estate agents make is waiting for the perfect time to start. And waiting until you have all the time available that you think you need, and that you have no obstacles and the perfect plan. But if you're making that mistake, then it means that you're making mistake number 1, which is focusing on the input instead of the outcome. You're focusing on everything that you need to do and making sure that you have enough time to do it. And if you're doing that, then it means that you're also making mistake number 2, which is looking at this like a to-do list, looking at all the things you have to do, trying to make sure you have the right time and the right opportunity and the right conditions to get it all done. Otherwise, there's no point starting. And if that happens, then you're probably also making mistake number 3, which is thinking that this is actually going to cost you energy instead of giving it back. It means that you think, okay, I need to have all the extra time and energy already to invest in this. And if I don't have that, then I can't start. It's impossible. And so then you don't start. Instead of realizing that actually when you do start investing the time and energy in this, it's going to give you more time and energy back. And if that's all happening, then that definitely means you're also making mistake number 4, which is not knowing how to prioritize different areas of your health and fitness at different times. So if you're waiting for the perfect conditions to start, what you don't know is that starting actually is the perfect condition, because starting even imperfectly, which is what everything will be, no business runs perfectly and smoothly. It just runs because you start no matter what. That means that all those mistakes will go away. And if someone's listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I've made every single one of those mistakes 10 times, then that's actually a great thing. That's so fantastic, because awareness is so useful, because you don't need to overhaul your life and change everything. You don't need to fit yourself into someone else's system. I don't have some predetermined system that I just get every client to follow, because everyone's system is built on a different lifestyle, a different set of goals that they have. I'll tell you what you do need. You need extremely specific goals and of what you want to achieve with your health, your fitness, your energy, your physique. Things like saying, oh, I think I'll lose a little bit of weight and get a bit fitter. That's not specific enough. How do you determine whether you've succeeded or failed at that? A lot of times we're reluctant to set very specific goals, because that means that if we define what success is, then we also define what failure is. We put that line in the sand. But a goal that's specific, it gives you the ability to reverse engineer it. So if someone's listening to this and they want one thing they can do from this, the first step needs to be a hyper specific goal. And that goal needs to be tailored to what you really want from it, right? No one really cares if they lose 10 kilograms. What they do care about is that they look better and that they feel better about how they look. Because especially for real estate agents, when you're, making those photos that go up in those billboards, you want to feel really confident about who you are and how you're presenting yourself to the world. So set yourself hyper specific goals, and then you can take the time to reverse engineer what's necessary to achieve those.
Absolutely fantastic. And business fitness in the 5 common mistakes that we see made. Ryan, if anyone needs to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you?
So if you want to get hold of me, you can either go to my website, ryananthony.com.au, and you can book in a call with me straight from there. There's a link to book in a call. You'll not be talking to a salesperson or an assistant. You'll be talking straight to me. And I'm always happy to give my time to talk to someone if they just need help with setting their goals. If they want to work with me, we can discuss that on the call. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as Coach Ryan Anthony, and you can message me from there if you like to. And I hope to talk to some of your listeners soon.
Ryan, great information and a very different topic for us this week, but thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Lee.